Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Asto Tarasata Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charana Ravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Yuga Dharma Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayat nashta prayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavat yutama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Ti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschata Desatarane. So we're starting on 54. Yeah. So I think I'll just read through 54 and 55, and then together we'll go through verse 56. Text 54 of, this is Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, chapter 15, the instructions for civilized human beings. This is text 54. Agni Suryo Diva Prana Shuklo Rakto Taram Svarat Vishvota Taijasa Pragyas Turya Atma Samanvayat. Translation. On this path of ascent, a progressive living entity enters the different worlds of fire, the sun, the day, the end of the day, the bright fortnight, the full moon, and the passing of the sun in the north, along with their presiding demigods. When he enters Brahmaloka, he enjoys life for many millions of years, and finally, his material designation comes to an end. He then comes to a subtle designation, from which he attains the causal designation, witnessing all previous states. Upon the annihilation of this causal state, he attains his pure state, in which he identifies with the supersoul. In this way, the living entity becomes transcendental. Text 55. Devayanam idam prahur bhutva Bhutva Nupurvashaha Atmayajya Upasana Santatma Yatmasto Nanivartate. This gradual process of elevation for self-realization is meant for those who are truly aware of the absolute truth. After repeated birth on this path, which is known as Devayana, one attains these consecutive stages. One who is completely free from all material desires, being situated in the self, need not traverse the path of repeated birth and death. Okay, we'll do together text 56. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Ya ete Pitridevanam Dev Ayane Veda Nirmite Shastrena Chakshusha Veda Janasto Pinamuyati Ya ete Pitridevanam Ayane Veda Nirmite Shastrena Chakshusha Veda Janasto Pinamuyati. Yaite Pitridevanam Ayane Veda Nirmite. Shastrena Chakshusha Veda Sto Yamudati. Word for word synonyms. Yaha, one who, ete, on this path, as recommended above. Devanam, known as Pitriyana, and Devayana. Ayane, on this path, Veda Nirmite, recommended in the Vedas, Shastrena, by regular study of the scriptures, Chakshusa, by enlightened eyes. Veda is fully aware. Janasta, a person situated in a material body. Api, even though, na, never, muyati, is bewildered. Translation. Even though situated in a material body, one who is fully aware of the paths known as Pitriyana and Devayana, and who thus opens his eyes in terms of Vedic knowledge, is never bewildered in this material world. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Acharyavan Purusho Veda, one who is guided by the bona fide spiritual master, knows everything as stated in the Vedas, which set forth the standard of infallible knowledge. As recommended in Bhagavad Gita, Acharyopasanam, one must approach the Acharya for real knowledge. Tad vigyanartam sagurum evabhigachet. One must approach the Acharya, for then one will receive perfect knowledge. When guided by the spiritual master, one attains the ultimate goal of life. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Minitam Jina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Shvapadantikam. So, Srila Prabhupada mercifully, the translation? Okay. Oh, go right through 57. Right. Okay, so then we'll do it all together. Okay, I'm just going to chant through 57. Adavante jananam sad bahir anta paravaram jnanam gyayam vacho vachyam tamo jyotis tvayam swayam. Translation. He who exists internally and externally, at the beginning and end of everything, and of all living beings, as that which is enjoyable and as the enjoyer of everything, superior and inferior, is the supreme truth. He always exists as knowledge and the object of knowledge, as expression and the object of understanding, as darkness and as light. Thus he, the Supreme Lord, is everything. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Here the Vedic aphorism, Sarvam Kalavidam Brahma, is explained. It is also explained in the Chatu Shloka Bhagavatam, Aham evasam evagre. The Supreme Lord existed in the beginning. He exists after the creation and maintains everything, and after the destruction of everything, merges in him. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Prakritim yanti mamikam. Thus, the Supreme Lord is actually everything. In the conditioned state, we are bewildered in our understanding, but in the perfect stage of liberation, we can understand that Krishna is the cause of everything. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme controller. He has an eternal, blissful, spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, for he is the prime cause of all causes. This is Brahma Samhita. This is the perfection of knowledge. So, very nice combination of two verses. The first, in 56, Prabhupada is emphasizing the approaching the spiritual master. And then in this verse 57, actually understanding the greatness and the inconceivable nature of Krishna, and coming to the point of actual understanding of the Supreme Lord, who is achintya, inconceivable, but simultaneously conceivable. So, how to enter into this, the actual teachings of and the very deep and high teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, achintya, bheda, abheda, tattva. The truth that is simultaneously one and different, conceivable and inconceivable at the same time. So, start on verse 56 that Prabhupada quotes this statement, Acharyavan Purusho Veda. So one who is guided by the bona fide spiritual master knows everything, as stated in the Vedas. Acharyavan means one who, actual meaning, van, means one who possesses an acharya or spiritual master. But we should understand it as one who follows. We don't actually possess, but if we have accepted, in that sense, possess. And then the opportunity is to follow. Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he starts very early saying that in the beginning, was it Adau Guru Ashrayam and Saddharma Prichat, that in the beginning one accepts, or Guru Ashrayam means take shelter of the spiritual master. And then Saddharma Prichat inquires about spiritual principles. And the same teaching is there. Krishna is giving in Bhagavad Gita, Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadikshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshana. One should approach a bona fide spiritual master. First, one has to become educated. Who is a bona fide spiritual master? Then he can approach with great humility, submissive inquiries and service. So it's a great science. And one who has approached the bona fide spiritual master, who is described as, in this Bhagavad Gita verse, as Tattvadarshi, he's seeing the truth, therefore he can give it. If one proves himself qualified. So there are two terms relating to approaching the spiritual master. One is anusara, which means to follow, and there's another one, anukaran, which means to imitate. So we have to be very clear about how we're approaching the spiritual master and why. And Prabhupada gives another one of his favorite definitions of approaching spiritual master from Bhagavatam, Tadvigyanartam sa gurum eva bigachet. one who actually wants to understand perfect knowledge of the absolute truth, he must approach. Eva Bigachat means is a very imperative statement. He must. That there's no other way. This is the formula that one must go through the devotee of the Lord. Who can teach? Guru means he's very heavy with knowledge of the absolute truth. And he's empowered by the Lord. It's called Kripa Shakti. He has this, he has the ability to give the Lord's mercy to any conditioned soul and change his heart from being full of material desires and material attachment to becoming attached to Krishna. This is Lord Chaitanya's teachings also. He explained Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagavan Jiva Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij, that a very fortunate living entity who's been wandering from higher planetary system down to the lower in this universe, by the mercy of Krishna, he gets Guru, and then by the mercy of Guru, he gets Krishna. He gets the Bhakti Lata Bij, the seed of devotional service. So this event of approaching and properly approaching a spiritual master is going to, has the potency to terminate our wandering all over the universe, full of material desires. And as the verse says, bewildered in this material world, bewildered as to what is the real goal of human life. So the conditioned soul is maintaining his independence from Krishna, is traveling all over, trying to understand how to become fully satisfied, overwhelmed with false ego, as the Lord describes, thinking he's the doer, the controller, the enjoyer. But he remains in this very foolish condition and caught up in the cycle of birth and death. So the approaching a spiritual master should be with a very clear determination and understanding that from him I want to approach the Supreme Lord. I want to know my own identity, why I'm struggling in this world. And as Sanatana Goswami said, approaching Lord Chaitanya, who am I? Why am I suffering these threefold miseries? And what is my duty? So, spiritual master can clearly impart that. But first, what needs to happen is that the prospective disciple needs to understand that there's a process. It's not just a magical thing, a personality cult. Just, I have a guru and he'll do something wonderful with me and I'll become enlightened. But there's a process. Srila Prabhupada would always say that Krishna consciousness means we're taking up a process. And Prabhupada would coin the phrase, the science of self-realization. So in the beginning, we can't understand what is the Lord, his name, his qualities, his pastimes, but if we sincerely take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, then he's giving the process. And by his empowered words, our consciousness gradually becomes purified. And we know, as we know, part of the process is this powerful process given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu of chanting the holy name. So we're very intimately in touch, very directly in touch with the Supreme Pure. Therefore, what happens is Ceto Darpana Marjanam, the heart is becoming purified, the consciousness is becoming purified. So gradually, we're actually understanding more and more clearly what opportunity I have in approaching a bona fide, the spiritual master. That he's giving me the opportunity, and he's giving this bhakti lata bij, the seed of devotion, so I can change my, if we want to say devotion, or my attachment, or my loving propensity from the material energy, from all this big spectrum of external things, and our propensity to love only another very insignificant jivatma, thinking that this is the perfection of my loving propensity. So the spiritual master is, by his words and by the following of the process he's giving, he's clearing our consciousness from what is that, the goal, what is the immediate desire. He's shattering or dissolving the material desires that we have to be the enjoyer in this world and be the controller. And gradually, we develop more and more determination to engage in devotional service. We become convinced that this is, the real goal. Otherwise, in the beginning, we can't understand. Srila Prabhupada, we heard Prabhupada say once that my students, they come and they start practicing bhakti or devotional service. And they practice, Prabhupada said, for a long time. And then gradually, after a long time, they actually start practicing devotional service. So, this understanding brings us to the next verse, which is pointing out the inconceivable opulences of the Lord. He who exists internally and externally, at the beginning and end of everything and of all living beings. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, I am the beginning, the middle, the end of everything. That which is enjoyable, and as the enjoyer of everything. So he is everything that he is enjoying. First of all, he's the enjoyer. We're the enjoyed. So this is another bewilderment of the individual soul here in this world. He's the superior and inferior. As the verse is saying, he always exists as knowledge and the object of knowledge, as expression and the object of understanding, as darkness and light. Therefore, he's everything. So, Srimad Bhagavatam begins explaining this, that Janmadyasya Yataha, that he's the supreme absolute truth, he's the source of everything, material and spiritual. And Prabhupada quotes this Vedic aphorism, Sarvam Kalav Idam Brahma, that the Lord is simultaneously everything material and spiritual, as he explains in Bhagavad Gita, Aham Sarvasya Prabhuvumatak Sarvam Pravartate. So when one becomes convinced that he is the source of everything, material and spiritual, then he seriously takes up devotional service. So we're taking up devotional service in the beginning, and we're chanting Hare Krishna, doing some service, approaching the spiritual master, but then our mind is still full of material desires. So we have to understand the reality and the unreality. We have to minimize that conditioned state of mind that's full of material conceptions, that wanting something that will never make me happy. We have to realize that this is a very illusory state of mind, of consciousness. And identifying for all of us with this body is a major hurdle we have to overcome. It's bewildering. It will always misdirect our consciousness. So, by the mercy of Guru, we get to clearly understand what is how we should repose our desires, our loving service propensity, so that we become enlightened, we become free from the illusory conceptions we have. And so the key is, are we taking shelter of Guru and Krishna, the instructions of the spiritual master, the holy name of Krishna? Or is it just, what would Srila Prabhupada say, like a hobby, like someone keeps a dog? He would challenge us like that. Why we should analyze. It's very healthy thing to analyze our purpose for approaching Guru and Krishna. If we really want to finish our illusory conceptions of life, or are we still, and are we still clinging on to so many desires that we really have to fulfill in this world? So, are we actually increasing? Are we reposing our faith? And is that faith in Guru and Krishna increasing? And that's another one of Prabhupada's very favorite verses, that he who has, how does it go? Only unto that great soul who takes faith in the words of the spiritual master and the Supreme Lord, unto him automatically all the imports of Vedic knowledge are revealed. So, and we know the process of, gradual process of maturing our devotional service, adau shraddha, beginning with initial faith. So it's a progression of faith. Tata sadhu sangha, bhajana kriya, anartha nivritti. So we're talking about this. Are we going through this anartha nivritti? Are we finishing dropping these unwanted things so we can go forward and become fixed in devotional service and gain a taste for loving devotional service? Because unless we have that taste, higher taste, we can't go forward. We can't come to this spontaneous stage of actual loving service, which is required. Or without the taste, we can fall back. Our mind and material desires can drag us away from the path. Now, in previous verses, this path, very sophisticated path of advancing, is very, very complicated. We can't hardly understand. So all we can do is depend on the mercy of Guru and Krishna. The mercy of Krishna that is coming through Guru. We're referring to Guru as his divine grace. So yeah, Krishna's divine grace on us that we can approach and become purified and understand the science of devotional service. Chaitanya Charitamrita says that this disciple accepts the Guru as a what's the wording? An equal, full manifestation of Krishna. He sees him as manifestation of Krishna. So Krishna is coming to the conditioned soul as the spiritual master, and the spiritual master is giving the process by which we can approach Krishna. And we can only actually approach Krishna as we become purified. So that all depends on our intelligent submission to the spiritual master. And then Krishna himself, who is the super soul situated in the heart, will reveal himself, his name, his form, his qualities, pastimes, and let us have full faith in him and in his service as the goal of our life. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that he gave that ultimate goal, that prema pamartho mahan, that the highest goal is love of God, but we have to realize that and be convinced. So the spiritual master has the potency to give that conviction, but we have work to do. We have to take up the process very honestly and sincerely. So maybe we could stop there if there's some discussion or questions.
Thank you, Prithu Prabhuji. I have two questions. One, if you mentioned two important aspects in the relationship with Guru, that one of them was to imitate, and the other one was to follow the instructions. What was the two things?
Well, not to imitate, but to follow. So anu saran is to follow, and anu karan is to imitate. So sometimes we see a symptom of a very neophyte devotee. He takes up the process and he's feeling some ecstasy, and wow, I have the greatest thing, and he what do we say? He gets this pure devotee disease, thinking, I'm on the platform of my spiritual master, and we've seen it in our movement. Even people in leadership roles, sometimes they're not on the platform of an Uttama Bhakta, and they try to imitate to some degree, and it causes great chaos, and sometimes destruction of temporary destruction of someone's spiritual life. So especially, and to imitate means we lose our humility. That the fruit of the process, if we're properly following and taking shelter, we're taking great satisfaction and happiness in becoming a servant of the servant. And Lord Chaitanya's example is there, that he just became a humble servant of his spiritual master. Prakashananda Saraswati asked him, why are you chanting and dancing with these sentimentalists? He says, for, immature people and sentimental people, why you do? He said, Lord Chaitanya replied that my spiritual master called me a fool. He said that you couldn't understand the Vedic knowledge, that you should just take this Maha Mantra, the Hare Krishna mantra, just chant. And when you feel happy, chant and dance with similarly minded devotees. So Prabhupada would tell us, especially in the presence of the spiritual master, we should always feel like a fool. So we have that example, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati approaching Gaura Das Babaji, who is described as on the material platform as practically illiterate, and here is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, tremendous, powerful scholar, and achieved so many things. And he's just taking the role of he was so happy when he was chastised by his spiritual master, and just to serve him, just because he had the realization that this person, he's fully in touch with Krishna, and he can bless me with Krishna's mercy. So if someone actually understands the relationship between guru and disciple and really wants to be a disciple, he'll never imitate. The spiritual master is not bewildered, he's not a fool, and the spiritual master is simply, the guru is the external manifestation of Krishna within the heart, who is actually, he's Chaitya Guru, the real guru, who's trying to guide us, but we're so covered over with our material desires and our false ego that we can't hear, so mercifully he sends Guru manifest externally. So it's the greatest opportunity, and we shouldn't do anything that would disrupt that opportunity to go forward in our spiritual life. Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you. I think the second question that I have is very much related, and I think it has been addressed by your answer. The second question that I have was in relationship with, you quoted that Jasya Deve Para Bhaktir verse, that when one has full faith in the instructions of the spiritual master, then all the impulse of the Vedas can be, achieved by the faithful devotee. So I was just thinking, sometimes you encounter, with yourself and even, devotees, the natural desire to go deeper into understanding, the scriptures and the study. But when it comes to neglect the order of the spiritual master for the pursuance of going deeper into your, understanding of Krishna consciousness, that in itself, it doesn't fit that formula of having full faith in the instruction of the spiritual master, and just by doing that, one will also be enriched with, all the impulse of the Vedas. So we don't need an independent pursuit of understanding the Vedas. We're just depending on the spiritual master. So I was just thinking on that. I think actually probably most of a comment rather than a question.
Right. Can you repeat that last?
Yeah, I was just realizing that I had more like a comment rather than a question on that.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Well, it's a nice point to discuss that as far as pursuing a deeper understanding of Krishna consciousness, we can't do it separately from following the orders, the rules and regulations spiritual master is giving. I mean, and regulations mean, well, our basic regulative principles, which are really basic. And then our sadhana, regular sadhana, disciple means a disciplined person. We've accepted a discipline. And so we don't have to pursue separately. But as we progress, and the spiritual master is giving directions, how to even intellectually study. There's beginnings, and there's graduate study and postgraduate study. And as we go, as we become well-versed, and we see how Prabhupada is recommending here and there, you can, you must also read this and you must read that. So Srila Prabhupada has given us so many recommendations, but we have to start from the beginning. We don't jump from 2nd grade to 12th grade or to university level. And simultaneously, we all know part of the formula is service to the spiritual master. So we can't ever give up the service. And our sadhana, hearing and chanting, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, always like this Bhagavatam class every morning, is part of our inquiry, our relative inquiry. So even we don't have questions, if we regularly hear Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, some questions will come and they'll be cleared, satisfied. So we'll be free from doubts. What's our problem? Why aren't we experiencing prema bhakti? Because we have doubts. So Krishna is giving that recommendation, right? 7.1? If you take up this devotional service, engage in devotional service with your mind fixed on me. How does that go? Yogam yunjan vanashaya samshayam samagramam yata gyasyashi mach trinu. Anyway, you can know me in full, free from doubt, by engaging in this devotional service with your mind fixed on me. Asakti. So engage in service. Prabhupada would say, devotional service in Krishna consciousness. So not just work hard, but work hard in Krishna consciousness. That's why we have to regularly hear nicely. Our tendency is to work hard and forget Krishna. I know that's still my nature. And then Krishna will gradually reveal according to our qualification. As we become qualified, then Krishna will give more. Yayatamam prapadyante tang sataiva bhajami aham. So Prabhupada said it's all a matter of submission or surrender. So we have to analyze, we have to learn. That's what our opportunity is, that we have to learn the process of surrender. And be excited about that. And as the heart becomes purified, it won't be just duty, it will be our real desire. Any other discussion? Jitendra had his hand up.
Thinking oneself a fool in front of one's spiritual master is a qualification. But another added to that is one should not behave foolishly one should not behave foolishly and embarrass the spiritual master.
Right.
Another thing I heard is Prabhupada's one disciple said, well, why did you wait 38 years before you came to America after your spiritual master gave you that instruction? And he says, well, I wanted to be prepared. I didn't want to present myself as a fool. So we have to have these understandings step by step. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the class, Prabhu. Should we follow, the instructions of Guru? Should we just follow his instructions, or should we try to do everything for Guru? Like in our everyday lives. You know what I'm saying? Should we just follow his instructions? The instruction that he gives us, or should we try to do everything? Saying, well, I'm doing this for Guru.
I would say both. We're following the instructions and not follow the instructions just for the sake of, like robot-like, but for the sake of, I know if I follow these instructions, I'll get the mercy of Guru and Krishna. And then in our life, we're applying so many things from morning till night. We're doing our sadhana, we're hearing and chanting, we're offering our food to Guru and Krishna. By the grace of Guru, we can offer something to Krishna and get some prasad, some mercy. And then we have some practical service to please the spiritual master. So there should be that much relationship there that all these things are clear. Otherwise we really don't have a spiritual master unless all these things are clarified. When these things are very clear, then we accept the spiritual master, and if the spiritual master is satisfied with our practice over time, then he accepts us. But we have to be careful not to just go through the motions for the sake of going through the motions. Otherwise, we're just being kind of dulled by Maya. It should be personal. We want to satisfy the personality of the spiritual master. And thus we'll satisfy Krishna. Right? Yes. Yasya prasada bhagavat prasado yasya prasad. Prasada nagati kutopi.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Oh, I thought you were going. Anything else? Okay, thank you for your attention. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki.